The night had a weight to it, the kind of heavy rain that blurred everything outside the car windows into streaks of silver and shadow. James pulled his jacket tighter around his shoulders as he leaned against his old sedan, waiting for the office building to empty out. He had stayed late again, finishing the last of the week's reports, because every extra hour meant a little more money for his daughter, Sophie. That little girl was the reason he put up with exhaustion, the reason he said yes when he wanted to say no, the reason he kept driving forward no matter how tired his bones felt. He checked his phone, another message from his babysitter, a kind older woman who lived next door. Sophie had already eaten and was tucked into bed, but she'd asked for him twice. His chest tightened. He hated missing those moments, but this was the life of a single father. Work first, because without it there would be no roof, no food, no bedtime stories at all. James was just about to get into his car when the sound of heels clicked against the pavement behind him. He turned, half expecting to see one of the other employees, but instead, there she was. His boss, Margaret Carter, Ms. Carter to everyone in the building. She was the kind of woman who seemed untouchable. Every day, she walked into the office in sharp suits and high heels, commanding attention with a single glance. No one dared to cross her. Her reputation was steel. Her voice could cut through excuses like a blade. To James, she was another world entirely, one that had nothing to do with him, his second-hand car, or the peanut butter sandwiches he packed for Sophie's lunch. And yet, on this stormy night, she looked nothing like the woman he thought he knew. Her hair, usually so perfectly arranged, clung damply to her face. The tailored coat she wore was darkened by rain, and there was something in her eyes, not the cold fire of authority, but a shadow. Loneliness. James, she said, her voice low, almost uncertain. You're still here. He nodded, unsure what to say. Yes, ma'am, just finished some paperwork. For a moment, she simply stood there, looking past him at the rain-soaked street. Then she spoke again, quieter this time. Would you mind giving me a ride? The words almost didn't register. Margaret Carter asking him for a ride. She had drivers, assistants, even a company car service. She had every option in the world, except, apparently, tonight. Of course, James said, trying to mask his surprise. He opened the passenger door, brushing off a few crayon drawings Sophie had taped to the dashboard. Sorry, it's not much. It's fine, she interrupted, sliding into the seat. For a second, he thought she might frown at the faded upholstery or the mess of toys in the backseat, but instead, she stared at the drawing on the dashboard, a crooked stick figure holding hands with a taller one, beneath a bright yellow sun. Sophie's work. He climbed in quickly, started the engine, and they pulled away from the curb. The silence inside the car was thick, the kind that pressed on your chest. He focused on the road, but from the corner of his eye, he could see her leaning back, her face lit by the occasional passing streetlight. You've got a child, she asked after a while. James blinked. He hadn't expected her to speak, let alone ask something personal. Yes, my daughter, Sophie. She's 6. She drew that, Ms. Carter gestured toward the picture on the dashboard. He smiled faintly, a warmth softening his voice. Yeah, she insists on decorating my car. Says it makes it more homey. For the first time since he'd known her, Ms. Carter smiled. Not the polite, distant curve of lips she sometimes gave at board meetings, but something real. It startled him. She's right, she said softly. It does. James kept his eyes on the road, but inside, he was unsettled. This woman had never once spoken to him like this, never shown him even a flicker of anything human beyond professionalism. Tonight, though, her words carried a fragility he couldn't ignore. Rough night, he asked cautiously. There was a pause before she answered. Everyone left, and I didn't want to be alone. The way she said it made something shift inside him. He had known loneliness, the kind that came after his wife walked out, the kind that sat heavy in the silence of his small apartment when Sophie was asleep. Hearing it in her voice, the woman who had everything, felt strange. It reminded him that money and power didn't always fill the emptiness people carried. Rain drummed against the windshield, the wipers sweeping back and forth like a slow metronome. For a while, neither of them spoke. The city lights blurred in the distance, neon colors bleeding into the night. James felt the weight of her presence beside him, not as his boss but as another soul, lost in a way he recognized too well. He wanted to say something, anything to make the heaviness lift, but words failed him. Instead, he let the silence sit between them, not empty but filled with unspoken truths. At a red light, he risked a glance at her. Her head was tilted slightly toward the window, her eyes following the raindrops racing each other down the glass. There was a softness in her face, a quiet sadness that had no place in the office. In that moment, James realized something. For the first time, he wasn't just driving his boss home. He was carrying someone fragile, someone who had spent too long pretending she didn't need anyone. And for reasons he couldn't explain, that mattered to him more than he thought it would. He gripped the steering wheel tighter, the beat of his heart loud in his ears. This wasn't the life he had planned, not the night, not the company, not the strange collision of two worlds. Yet here they were, a single dad and his unreachable boss, driving through the rain with nothing but silence and shadows to keep them company. And James couldn't shake the feeling that this ride was going to change more than just the direction of the night. It was going to change everything.